Hello everyone, this is Migo. So I was working on a client project that contained a lot of rigid body simulations. And working with Blender, I found out that applying a rigid body simulation to objects can be time consuming and sometimes it will be tedious process. So I decided to create an add-on to simplify the work with rigid body and introduce some new features to the Blender. So let's start explaining what this add-on offers, and let's go. So to install Easy RB Pro add-on, you go here to Edit, Preferences, you choose Add-ons, and click here, Install from Disk, and you go here, find your add-ons, and select RB Pro, and install from disk. And now you have been installed the add-on successfully. You can check the documentation and the manual here from Google Drive. And this is the version 1.0.0. As you see, now you can save your preferences and press N and go here. And now we have our add-on, the Easy RB Pro add-on. We're gonna check this options. So this is our Easy RB Pro add-on. The first option in this add-on is fracture. This option give you instance access to the fracture add-on. You need first to enable the fracture add-on from here, preferences, and get extensions and search for cell fracture, and you can enable it from here. And this will give you instance access with one click, and you can select how many pieces you want and the noise, and you can name this collection right here, but by default it's will put your pieces in pieces collection. So you just click OK and you wait for it, and now you have fractured your object, and this is your pieces like this. Okay, this is the first option in this add-on. And the second option in this add-on is duplicate. I will show you what this option do. We have some elements here in the scene. Maybe you should choose the beans this time. Let's go. Let's just take one. And I want to duplicate this bean. Maybe I will use it to drop it later in the rigid body simulation. So I need to duplicate it. We have some option here to duplicate. We have the first option is the duplicate in grid shape. This option will duplicate in a grid shape in the X and the Z axis. So if I want maybe four duplication, it will give me 4x4 grid. So let's test this, and let's press here, and it will give me 4x4. I mean the radius is very big, so let's this radius will control the spacing between the objects and the copies. So let's put maybe 0.5 meter, and let's try again, and that's it, our grid. And we can also increase maybe 5x5 grid, and okay, this is our duplication. And this and also we can duplicate in a cube shape, and this will give us a cube shape with 3x3x3. So let's see how this cube will duplicate. Okay, so we have a cube shape 3x3x3. Okay, and maybe we go 5. Okay, let's see. Okay, this is our cube, and this all are real geometry. It's not based on geometry nodes. It's based on some mathematical calculation. And we can also duplicate in a sphere shape. So just increase this number maybe to 50, and let's duplicate in a sphere shape like this, and it will give you this shape like this. And you can also increase to maximum of 500, but this will take a little bit of time, and maybe put some spacing like 1 meter. And let's duplicate. It will take some time to calculate, so give it a little bit of time, and this is our duplication, as you see, and it's all real geometry. You can apply a rigid body simulation or any other physics to this geometry. Okay, let's see the other options that we have in this duplicate panel. Okay, let's reset to a grid. Let's duplicate in a grid this time. Okay, now what this option do? Select by name. This option will select any object that has similar name to this selected object. So if I want to select the beans, I just select by name and it will select all the beans. Uh, Even though those two here, because they have the similar name to our object. But if I select this lemon and I select by name, it will not select anything because there is another lemon. But if we duplicate this couple times and I said select only by name, it will select by name those objects that have similar names. Okay, this option is very cool if you have a lot of object in the scene and you want to select only this object maybe, and the objects that have a similar name or the other copies, it's select here by name and it will select them all. And we have another option that called select by verts, and this will basically select any object that has similar face number and similar verts number. So if we have maybe this this lemon like this and I select by verts, it will select all those lemon that has the same verts. But if I modify one of them, maybe I will just remove one vertices like this, and I set select by verts, it will select only those two because I modify this one. Okay, and we need this option later. I will show you what's the difference between select by name and select by the verts. Okay, so this is the two options that will be very good for us in the rigid body simulations. Okay, now we have this transform operation. This actually just let's select all of those beans, select by name, and let's so this option will give us the the ability to randomize the position and the scale of those selected objects. So if I want to randomize the location of those objects, I can do it like this with this option. And if I want to randomize the rotation, if we can see, we can randomize the rotation here of those objects like this. And even we can randomize the scale like this, and maybe activate this even scale to get even scale like this. And this option, it will be very good later when we apply the rigid body simulation. We can just randomize them like this and apply a rigid body and let them simulate. Okay, so let's go back. Now what's the other options? We have invert. This is actually is just a simple invert selection. So if I'm selecting this one, this object, and press here invert, it will invert to select the other objects. It's a very simple operation. Okay, and we have the hide option. If we select all of those objects and press hide, it will hide them. But we have another option that called show. It will show everything that hide in scene, even the other stuff. So uh, take this in mind. This option, it will show everything in the scene, and this option, it will hide only the selected objects like this, like this. Okay, and we have the option that called remove doubles. What actually this do? So if I duplicate or I did this operation and something happened and duplicate two objects in the same position, this option will remove. Let me first delete this so we can see better. So we have here lemon 1 and lemon 2 in the same position. They are two separate objects, what they share the same position and the same size. So this option, remove double, it will remove one of them, okay, and leave the other. So now we have only one object. So this operation is to clean the scene from the duplicated like this. Maybe if we duplicate one more time, they are two objects in the same position. If we click remove doubles, it will remove the two it will remove one of them and leave the other. Okay, so it's a very cool operation to clean the scene from doubles. And we have the option to decimate. So let's see the wireframe. As you see, this object have 7492 faces. If I click decimate, this will decimate with the mesh with a ratio of 0.5. So if I click decimate, it will reduce the poly count to 3746 face. And if I click one more, it will reduce one more. But as you see, our shape will spoil like this. So this can be handy to decrease the size, but be careful using this because sometimes it will give you bad results. So now let's go to the RB panel. We have now some option to edit and remove the RB physics or the rigid body physics. And if I want to apply rigid body physics to this object, I can select one of them and let's press here edit RB active. And this will edit a rigid body active simulation to this, rigid body active physics to this object. And it will fall like this. And I can select everything and added rigid body simulation to all of those selected objects with one click like this. And maybe let's add a plane as a ground like this. And let's set this plane to added RB passive. And this will added a passive rigid body. So this plane will not move, but those will collide with it. So let's see the simulation like this. And you can with this option select active RB. It will select only the object that have rigid body active. So you can maybe change them to passive and the simulation will stop, nothing will move. And you can now select them and go back to active and it will fall again like this. And you can also remove the selected object from the RB simulation, from the rigid body simulation. So if I select this apple and remove it from the rigid body simulation, it will ask me if I want to confirm. Let's press OK. So now all of those other objects, they have the physics, and this one we remove the physics from it, and we can press to give it the physics back like this. Okay, now the other option that we have gravity. If we enable the gravity or we disable it, nothing will happen because there is no gravity in the scene. So if we enable it, and they will fall like this. What we can do with this option, we can maybe keyframe it, maybe in here, and let's put a keyframe like this. So there is no gravity right here, nothing will happen. And in the frame 31, we can enable it and keyframe it, so they will fall in the frame 31 like this. So let's see. So there is the gravity option, and let's remove those keyframes. So let's enable the gravity again. And we have other option to change the mass of the object. So every object now it weighs 1 kilogram. So if we want to change this apple to maybe 10 kilograms like this, we can do it. And if I want to select everything and change them to the same number, we can do it, but you need to first to check if you have this option enabled. Go to input and disable this. If you have this enabled, emulate the 3-button mouse, you need to disable this first to work and save your preferences. And now you can just press Alt and change this maybe to 10 kilograms like this. Okay, now to this value, and every selected object will have the same mass. And this one, because we changed it before, we need to make it back like this 10. Or we can just select everything and let's maybe press 5 and press Alt before you press enter. So you press 5, Alt, and enter, and they all will have the same mass like this. Okay. And you can change also the gravity, maybe increase it or decrease it. It's up to you, but I will leave it like this. And we have other option to animate. This option will if I want to animate the apple and remain the rigid body simulation, I can make it like animate and maybe put keyframe right here and put keyframe right here like this, and let's see the animation. It will collide with those objects. I will give you some example of this option later, so let's just keep going. So this is the animate, and we have option to change the collision type from convex hull to all other objects to mesh. I think the mesh option work better, but it will take more time to calculate. So I think leave it in convex hull is better. And we have also the option to change the friction of this object. We can change it individually like this, or we can select everything and press Alt and change all the friction in the same time like this to all these objects. And we have the bounciness. It's the same operation. We can change it individually or select all and press Alt and change them all like this and test it like this simulation. And we have the option to remove all the rigid body from the scene. This will not remove the selected only, but it will remove everything. So be careful using this. If you want to remove every rigid body physics, just press here, and now there is no rigid body simulation in the scene. Okay, and let's go to the constraint tab. This constraint tab will connect the object that have a rigid body. So if I want to connect two objects, maybe let's duplicate these apples like this, and let's give them a rigid body physics like this. And now let's close this tab. Now, if I play the simulation, they will fall like this. Let me give this plane a passive rigid body so they will collide with it. Now let's see. They will fall like this. But if I want to connect them, I can have this option and press connect. It will create a chain of constraint between those objects, and if they will fall like they all are in the same object. They will fall like this, and I can remove this connection from here. Remove go. So now we're back to our physics simulation, and I can add a random simulation v1. This will put some. It will connect some object and it will not connect some. So sometime if I have a lot of object in scene, let me remove it first, and let's duplicate this maybe like this. We can use this duplicate option, but not for now. I will show you later. And if I select all of those objects and press V1, it will connect some of those objects randomly like this. Okay. And if we remove it, select everything, remove it, and we have another option that called V2. This will give you another option to randomize the connection. So it will randomize it like this. And let me show you a good technique to use this operation. So let's remove everything. So I will show you an example how I use this operation. So let's add it as a UV sphere like this. And let's fracture this UV sphere. So we have all of those pieces like this. Let's move them maybe right here like this. Okay. And let's give those pieces. So let's go here to select by name and select them all and add active rigid body to these pieces like this. And now if we play the simulation, they will fall like this. Maybe let's scale this plane a little bit like this, and let's remove all of those objects, you know, like this. Okay, let's see now. Maybe let's up them like this. Okay. Let's play the simulation, and they will fall like this. Okay, so every piece will fall its own on its own like this. What we can do, we can select them all by name like this, and let's add a connection, and this will add a constraint between those objects like this. So if we play the simulation, they will stick together like this. Okay, and we can also select everything by name, and we can remove this constraint like this. And we have another option that added the random constraint to this. This connect option will connect every piece selected, so they will connect all together. But this V1, it will select a random object that they will connect together, and some of those pieces they will not connect together. So let's see this option like this, and as you see, there is some objects right here, they stick together, but some they will not. So this is a very cool option to randomize the effect. and we can select everything and remove it. And we have another option that called V2. This operation will do the same, but it will be more random from this V1. So I prefer this V2 because it will give very good effect like this. See, it's very different from V1. And of course, you have the option to change this connection. Maybe we just select by name and remove it. And let's select everything and press V1. And you have the option to maybe change this to points or anything here. You can select everything and press Alt to change to this option to all the pieces. Maybe you give it like points and it will change the simulation. Okay, let's go back, select everything, and let's make it fixed. And now it will give us this simulation. Okay, there is a lot of use to this stuff. We're gonna see some example later. Okay, so let's remove the connection. Now let's use this connection, connect one. And now we have some option here, breakable. It will, if we play the simulation now, as you see, they will stick together and they will not break. But if we select everything and press Alt and press breakable, that will make them all break like this. Okay, we can also bring down the threshold. We can bring down the threshold, press Alt, and make it maybe a value of 1 or 2, and they will break like this. Okay, they will break. So the breakable option will make them break, but the threshold will control how much they will break. Okay, how much force they need to break. Sometimes if you put a higher value like 7, they will not break like this. So this option, it will give you the control for how much force you need to break this stuff. And you can select everything. If you want nothing to break, just make them solid and they will not break ever. Even if we like put very high like this, they will not break. Okay, they will stick together, and we can just make them breakable again and they will break like this. Okay, so this is how it works. And you can put the threshold maybe like 5. You can press update to every piece is connected like this. Okay, and you have this disable collision. Basically what this do, it will disable the collision between the pieces connected to reduce the calculation. If you want to make a very realistic simulation, you can disable this one or enable it. I mean, it's already disabled, so you press Alt and the press here, and it will enable the collision between the pieces that are in the same connection, like this. Okay, this is our constraint tab. Let's go now to the bake tab. So the bake tab, now we have the option to bake this simulation, and we have a start frame and end frame. If I want to bake maybe just 100 frame, I type here 100 frame, I type here 100 frame and press bake. And this will bake our simulation. As you see, it's already baked. It will not calculate again. And we have the option to delete this bake. So let's delete this bake. It will ask you if you want to delete the bake or not. Just press here and it will calculate again. We can change, maybe just select everything by name, and we can remove the connection. Let's play the simulation again and they will break like this. So this option will bake and this will delete the bake. Now let's go to the bake to keyframes. Maybe let's just move this a little bit so we can see it right here. So this option, bake to keyframes, we need to bake the simulation first. Okay, now we have our simulation baked. This bake to keyframe will bake the simulation to keyframes. And someone will ask why we need this option. I will show you why we need this. So if we try to move the simulation now and it's baked, we can't move it. It's impossible to move this simulation like this. Maybe I want this this sphere to happen here. Maybe I want the sphere to move here and keep the simulation. We can't keep it. We can't move it because the simulation is already baked on this in this position. So what we can do, we can select all of those stuff and press here bake to keyframes. And it will ask you how much frame you want to bake the simulation. We just press 100 and we wait a little bit. Now we have all of those keyframes. Every piece now it have those keyframes. We can play with those keyframes. Maybe you can move them, and you see will the other will fall, and those will remain until the timeline hit the keyframes like this. Now let's go back. Now if I want to move this here, I can't move it like this because it will restart the position because we have keyframes. So I give you an option to parent to an empty, like right here. So you can parent to an empty, and all of those objects will parent to an empty. You can control the scale of the empty. If it's very small, you can make it bigger like this, and you can move it now right here, and the simulation will happen right here. And you can rotate it maybe like this, and the simulation will rotate like this. And you can make a lot of controls to make a lot of interesting things by parent like this. And if you want to remove this parent, just select all of your pieces like this and press here clear parent, and it will ask you if you clear parent and keep the transformation. Just clear the parent and it will reset the position like this. And you can delete this empty because you don't need it anymore. Okay, now let's remove all of those keyframes like this because we need it to resimulate again. So let's add rigid body physics. Okay, now if we play the simulation, it will play again. Let's delete the bake and let's see now. And we have an option to delete reset the simulation. Maybe I did something wrong in simulation like this, and our simulation it's break. You can reset the simulation, and it will reset like this. And you can add it now a rigid body again, and it will work perfectly. But you need to add it all of those other rigid bodies. So the reset simulation, it will reset all the physics in the scene. And you have here a sub-step. This will control the quality of the simulation. You can maybe make just 5 steps or 6 steps. I mean, I think 5 or 6 is enough. If you want to go higher, like 10 steps, it's okay if you have a very good CPU to calculate. But I think 5 steps is enough for almost all the simulations. Now let me show you what the switch do. The switch is very interesting option. Uh, Maybe I want this. Let me first move this right here, like this, and scale it a little bit. Maybe I want this object, this sphere, to fall, and when it hit this plane, it will break. Okay, how I will do that? We can do it like this. We can move this object right here. Let's first delete the rigid body from those pieces. So remove all rigid body, and let's add a rigid body to this sphere. Add a rigid body. Now let's see. This sphere will fall, and this sphere will fall in the. Let's see how many frame it will fall. It will fall in the frame 22. Okay, so let's bake our simulation, and it will fall in the frame 22. We can bake it to keyframes like this, and you can select this one, and I mean select those pieces, and we can give them a rigid body simulation. And now let's see. Let's give them an active rigid body simulation. Nothing will happen because we forget to delete the bake. So let's delete the bake first, and let's try again. Okay, let's give them active rigid body. They will fall now. So they will fall like this, and they will break right here. Okay, in 2021. So I want the switch to happen in 21. So let's select this one. Let's select those pieces first. Select by name, then select this sphere, and I want the switch to happen in 21. So when the sphere hits, the switch will go, the UV will go invisible, and the other pieces will be visible. And we can press here and type 21. And before we press switch visibility, we need to confirm that our sphere is the active object. You see this orange line. It need to be the active object. So if we press switch visibility, now you will see that our sphere is only the only object visible in the scene. And if we click here, it will break like this. So basically, what this switch do, it will switch the visibility between the active object and the other selected objects like this. And we have the option to delete this switch. We need to select this sphere, and we have to see it. If we see right here, we have two keyframes for the visibility. We can remove them by click here, remove switch. Okay, and now it will be visible all the time. We can also select this object and remove the switch to reset the simulation like this. So basically, that's what the switch do. It's just an operation to hide the pieces first, like this, and select this one, and just choose the frame and select switch visibility. And now we have this cool effect that it will break. Let's do it one more because I think I didn't explain it enough. So let's delete everything, and let's delete the bake. I don't know, I feel I didn't explain it exactly how I want, so let's do it again. So let's add it, maybe this time let's add a tours like this. So if I want to break these tours, like if this tours drop and it will break, we can fracture it first like this. Okay, now we can move this a little bit so we can see it like this. We can select all of those objects, or we select this first and added a rigid body active like this. And we need to select this plane and added a rigid body passive, so it will collide with this plane. And let's remove this one. Okay, like this, and it will hit the ground. Okay, we need to bake this to keyframes, so let's bake the simulation first like this. And we need to select this object and bake to keyframes like this. Okay, now let's delete the bake, and let's select all of those objects, and let's move them here like this, inside this one. And let's give them active rigid body, and let's see now the simulation. They will break like this. Okay, now we need to switch between the visibility of the first object and the second objects. So we can select everything. Let's select everything, and we need to select this one, and it need to be the active object. You see this orange line on the outside of this. And let's see when it will hit the ground. It will hit the ground in the 18 frame. So we need the switch to happen in 18 frame. So let's type here 18, and let's press switch visibility. Now if we see there is our object and it's visible, but the other pieces, they are not visible. If we play the simulation, it will break like this. Okay, and you see that in the frame 18, they will switch the visibility. The other object will be invisible, and those objects, they will be visible. And you can render this effect like it's breaking. And you can do maybe you can select those objects by name and added a connection, a random constraint like this, to give it more cool effect, like it will break. Let me hide this first. Okay, let's see the effect. See, and yep, I think that's it. There is no other option. I think the only option that left is to remove the switch. We can select the object and remove the switch, and the object will be visible like this. And see, we can select those pieces also, and we can remove this switch from, and we can maybe do another type of simulation. So I will show you an example how I use this add-on. So we have an apple right here, and we have a ground, and we have some fruits right there. We're gonna use them later. So this, I want to drop a lot of apples in the ground. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna select and move this apple up a little bit, and we're gonna select this ground and give it passive rigid body, and we're gonna select this apple, and we're gonna want to duplicate this apple to give us more apples, and you're gonna select the radius and put the radius 2 meter, and just make sure that the radius or the spacing is bigger than the size of the apple, so we don't get duplicated objects in the same place. So we're gonna make the count. Maybe I want 100 apples, and let's choose the sphere shape to duplicate. So let's see. Now we have a lot of apples, and then if we select one of them and select by name, we see that we select all of them. We can randomize the transform by selecting here and opening this panel. We can randomize the X or the Y or the Z position, and we can randomize the rotation like this. Maybe we do that. Can randomize the rotation or the scale. If we randomize the scale like this, or you need to activate this even scale to get more accurate scale. And I think we just let them like this, and you can also randomize the seed to get more variation of the rotation or the location of those objects. And if you're happy with that, you can add it active rigid body, and let's bring a timeline right here real quick. And if we play the simulation right now, it will happen like this, and this is because the type of rigid body collision for this ground is convex hull, and this is not accurate to calculate the collision. So let's add it a mesh type to calculate the real collision mesh. And if we play the simulation now, you will see that they will fall perfectly. And if you want to reduce the steps of this calculation, we don't need really a very big steps. We can maybe just make it here in the sub steps, choose 2 or 3 as maximum, and this will speed up your simulation quite a lot, like this. And as you see now, you have another, maybe we want to add some bananas or another type of fruits. Let's select all of those, and let's move them right here, and let's separate them a little bit so they are not close together. And what's cool about the duplicate option, that it can work for multiple objects. If I want to duplicate multiple objects in the same time, I can do that. Just make some space between them so we don't get them collide with each others. We can select all of those, and maybe let's reduce the number to just 20. And if we press here to duplicate, we will see that we will get those duplication exactly as we want. And we can, if I want to randomize the bananas, only the bananas, we can select them like this by name, and I go to transform, and I get this random seed, and I can do this again. I can select by name, transform, and I can do this again, select by name and transform. And I can select also this by name, added a rigid body, select this by name, add a rigid body, select this by name, added a rigid body. And if we play the simulation now, you will see that all will fall together like this, and we're gonna get very good simulation physics like this. You can also add some constraint. Maybe you can move them. You move them a little bit right here, and I want maybe some bananas to stick together, maybe just randomly like this. We can add it v2, like you will see that those bananas will drop and stick together because they are connected. And you can do a lot of options, as maybe we can Let's remove this connection, and we can add maybe an object here to collide with those stuff. Maybe I want an obstacle right here that will animate. Let's give it a material maybe like this is to see it. And I want this cube to hit, I want to animate this cube, and I want it to hit when they all fall in the ground, I want the cube to hit them like this and move them right there. And if we play the simulation, you will see that the cube will not interact with this object because we need to give it active rigid body, and we need to activate this animated object. And now if we play the simulation again, you will see that the cube will uh, interact with our simulation and give you this effect. Okay, and we can bake our simulation to maybe 100 frame. I want just 100 frame, so let's delete the bake and let's bake again. Okay, now our simulation are baked and we got this effect. Very easy. And if I don't like the simulation, I can delete the bake and I can adjust maybe something here. Maybe I want those apples to be right here, and we can do it. And you can rebake again. And if you don't want any rigid body, you can select everything and remove all rigid body. This will remove everything from the scene. And if I want to remove those only those rigid body, I can do that by remove selected, and those objects will not simulate, as you see. And I think if I want to hide them, I just click here to hide them. I don't want to see them in scene. If I want to use them again, I just press show, and this will show everything that hide in scene, even this light. So yep, and I think that's it. This is our example, and you can go crazy and make your simulations. Hope you like it. Thank you for watching. And that's it, guys. This is our add-on. I hope you like it. If you find it useful, you can, of course, support me by buying it from the links in the description. And let me know if you have another idea or another option that you want me to, uh, or you want me to edit it in this add-on. And I will keep updating this add-on until it will get better. And thank you guys for watching, and see you.